I feel like a lot of the battle that people feel is this survival mentality from their beliefs, from how they were brought up, from the things that kind of maybe made us into who we are in our own worlds. And then there's this glorious thing in surrender that once you get to that point, it's a whole different level. I just was curious on your thoughts of the survival versus surrender mentality.
Yeah, so our greatest need is for love, love and acceptance, love and connection, and the greatest fear as humans is to not have that, to be rejected from that. And so, most of us spend our lives trying to build up ourselves so we're worthy of that love. And so, in the book, I talk about the Palms acronym: possessions, achievements, looks, money, and status. And if we have enough of that, if it's enough, then we think, okay, I'll be enough so that I can be loved enough. But it never works. And so we have this ego that's always comparing, always threatened, never satisfied, and it leverages that deep need for love to say, hey, look, if you achieve these things, if you have these things, if you look better, then you're going to get that love that you deeply want. But the flip side is, if you fail, you're not going to get it. You're going to get the opposite, which is you're going to get rejected of that love and judged. And so what happens is most of us, and what I've done for most of my life is try to build up these walls to protect me, but instead they become walls that imprison me. And so there's a power at the center of the universe that grows the grass and spins the earth and holds the stars in place. And that power is available to all of us when we surrender our own will, like in step three of Alcoholics Anonymous, to surrender your life and your will to God as you understand Him. Surrender your little power for His unlimited power.
I think it's great. And what drove me for that is I was in business and built a business for 20 something years. And in 2023, I sold my business. And in the process of doing it, one of my sons, my oldest son, was asking me, Dad, I heard you say that it was the most successful year of your life and at the same time the worst year of your life. I don't understand. How can you have the most success in your life and also find it to be the worst year of your life? And I would say, well, it's not the worst year of my life. I said it was a year of deep learning. And when you go through deep learning, sometimes you have to get through some things that really help you center. And the word that I went to throughout the process that kept me grounded was surrender. And I surrendered in prayer when I didn't know what to do. I surrendered um, in uh, um, in integrity, in giving, and all the things that were outside of the ego. And every single time, it was like a game changer. It was a new level. And so when I was explaining that to him, he's 19, he's a business major, he's starting, he's my firstborn son, so he got all of the parts of me that I was trying to change as I was going along, and the younger one got a little better version of dad, and today the one day the grandchildren will get a best version, hopefully. But the reality was that surrender was so powerful. I remember going out to Phoenix, and I did not do a desert trip like you did, where you spent extended periods of time. But I went out to watch my son play maybe 3 weeks before we closed, and and he had like one game a day, and I spent all day working, doing Zooms, trying to get this thing to close, and then every break I had, I just went into prayer. I ordered in, I didn't leave. Like, I was just in this deep inner state of prayer and thought because everything was out of my control. And it was the most freedom I think I've ever felt in a very challenging timeline. And there were lots of challenges, lots of not lots of humans you're working with, lots of things. And it's a multi-level business, and it was big enough that I'd never done a deal of that size or anything like that. So um, surrender was so powerful, and I was really shifting from survival to surrender. That's what
Mm,
what kinda drove me to ask that.
that's
Um,
powerful.
well, I think, you talk about belief, focus, and freedom. I'd love for you to kind of frame that to our audience, because what I'm hoping people do is I'm hoping they listen to this short interview today and this conversation, and it makes them pick up the book, because I believe that if you study this book and you read it, you're going to be a better version of yourself at the end. Now, what you choose to use it for and how you choose to use it is something that I think is up to each of us individually. But I'm hoping that the framework of maybe belief, focus, and freedom could be a starting point.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you. So, yeah, those are the three pillars of inner excellence. Everything that I do with professional athletes, executives, anybody is really around those three areas, to expand what you believe is possible, to be fully present in the moment, and to have the freedom to play like a kid. It doesn't matter what you're doing, stay at home dad or executive or professional or Olympic athlete. These are the three pillars in my mind that are crucial. And so if we think about belief, belief is kind of the fundamental primary pillar because belief's what's running our lives. When I say belief, I mean a subconscious comfort level with what you feel is possible, with what you feel is possible for yourself and for the world and the world that you live in. And so inner excellence is about constantly expanding what you believe is possible. And the way we do that is our number one goal every day is to learn and grow. And the principle number one of inner excellence is that everything is here to teach you and help you. It's all working for your good. And as I look back on my life, I see that I was not ready for this a couple of years ago. Everything that's happened in the last 9 months, and I look at the low times in my life, spending 5 years full time writing and researching inner excellence, and 2.5 years in the desert, and the loneliness, and how I almost had a mental breakdown at the end. Spent my life savings, $90,000 in debt, and um, that was all training for me. I didn't know it, and I think it's so important for people to understand that if you're going through a really hard time right now, this not only might be training for you, but it might be the best possible thing for you. And the best possible thing for you might be to give up your trying to control your life and surrender your little power for the unlimited power at the center of the universe. Um, so, how do we expand what we believe is possible? It's beliefs are feelings, and you can think about it this way. So you can get a phobia from a split second feeling that happens. People, I'm sure you know people that have phobias of, spiders, snakes, heights. But it could be anything. It could be donuts. It could be cotton balls, banana. It doesn't matter what it is because it's not the thing. It's the context and the feeling that comes in that specific context. And so, because phobias can be sometimes they are acquired in a split second, they can also be um, healed very fast. You can have a phobia your whole life of something, and that can be healed. So it's important to understand. So let's talk about expanding what you believe is possible. So here's the way that I think about it. When you come to that point where you're the most uncomfortable, say you've got a big presentation and you're really really nervous, that's the point where you can expand what you believe is possible. Anytime you're the most uncomfortable or the most nervous, because now you're coming to the edge of your beliefs. You're like, I don't know if I can do this. And that's your teacher and your helper when you're at that point. It's like, okay, it's like God's giving you this gift. Like, here you go. You want to expand what you believe is possible. You don't need to be successful in this, whatever you're doing. The way to expand your beliefs is to embrace this moment and the feeling and not run from it. And if you do that, then you'll get better and better at being comfortable, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and then you'll be able to take whatever skills you have into these moments in the future.
Yeah, it's so powerful. When you talk about the challenge that you had getting to this in the last 9 months and the acceleration, um, are you saying that the journey you went on was so helpful because it was actually preparing you for what you were about to see? Or were you also saying that even though you felt like it was all preparing you, it was still overwhelming and very challenging as you went through that moment?
Yeah, all of it. I was talking to my spiritual mentor, Nick Osborne, the other day, and we're talking about this idea that really helped me. He said, God gives it's like God gives you a jacket that's two sizes too big. And you put it on, you're like, whoa, this is not comfortable. I think this is wrong. This is not, we need to exchange this for one that fits. But you think about what a parent does for a little kid. Do you buy your 4-year-old a jacket that fits perfectly? Um, well, it's gonna not fit perfectly in a few months, right? And so you want to buy it a little bigger so they can grow into it. And that's what God does. He gives you a jacket that's too big for you and doesn't feel comfortable because He's going to help you grow into it. But you grow into it by surrendering control.
Yeah, it's that's super powerful, and so it's difficult to think about. We all want that, I don't know if you watch Tommy Boy, but we want the fat guy in a little coat. It's so much more comfortable, it makes you feel tight. I mean, it's that complete opposite that we get comfortable in our own setting, and I think back of being a kid and growing up in a unique environment where I had a lot of friends that were younger when I was really young, and I remember feeling like I could be the leader, and it was challenging. It was always very comfortable, but getting around kids that were your own age, you had to start having different beliefs, and so, um, it's interesting when you use that analogy. I also think about the power of belief when it comes to parents. I feel like one of the most fundamental things we can give our children is the belief in them, not the belief in them through ourselves, but the belief in them for themselves, and really shining God's light and God's message on that takes me, the ego, them, their ego out. And it's such a powerful message. If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.